Welcome everyone to the Walrus Cup 4 Week in Review. This is the first in a series of recap videos that will keep you updated with everything new in the Walrus Cup, be it match results, clips, or announcements. I'm Halikaru, IGN Copper 354.
And I'm Kirania. We saw fierce competition from both the Champions bracket and the Elimination bracket. Great games were played by all players. So, without further ado, let's get right into this week's matches.
In the Champions bracket, the best of the upper 16 players were paired against one another, and we saw plenty of mainstays as well as newcomers competing for their double elimination privilege. Firstly,
what happens when you pair arguably the best aggressive player and one of the best defensive players in TNT run? A great match, of course. From start to finish, both Walrus Cup veterans used their boasty parkour skills to make cuts and getaways. Throughout the match, Cool's hyper-aggressive nature was sometimes to his detriment, but mostly to his advantage. And ultimately, this risky playstyle paid off for the Irishman, who took the match 4-2. Cool advances, Matame moves to the elimination bracket.
In the only match without a previous Walrus Cup champion, Diablo vs Papas was a match between two of the most rapidly improving players in TNT run. The two Europeans assumed passive positions in this game, which meant that each round was a test of who could figure out the best path to victory among the many possibilities in the arena. Diablo, comfortable with this style of play, brought the score cleanly to 3-0, but on his last leg, Papas brought out his aggressive cutting playstyle and won back 2 points. In a final test of patience, Diablo proved why he is one of the best pathfinders in the game and took the match 4-2. Diablo 127 advances, Papa's Nivar moves to the elimination bracket.
G vs Shiny was a battle of the old versus the new. Shiny has been playing since 2018 and was a victor of the very first Walrus Cup. And to contrast him, G is one of the newest players in the tournament, only joining the game in December. Despite their differences, the match went back and forth. Whenever Shiny got a point, G fired right back, which went on until the score went to 3-3. It was a tense final show-off, but Shiny's fluid cutting and skilled pathfinding granted him the win, 4-3. G moves to the elimination bracket, Shiny advances.
You wouldn't say things were looking good for Sean as someone with no Walrus Cup experience, being matched up against Thim, the reigning Walrus Cup champion, but to many people's surprise he began the game dominantly, taking 3 of the first 4 maps played, bringing the score to 3-1. Things were looking grim for the French banana, but with his great ability to act in tight situations and not crack under pressure, Sean slipped on the banana's tricky play and Thim hiked the score back up from 3-1 to 3-4 in a set of riveting, close-fought 1v1s. Victim advances, Sean moves to the elimination bracket.
In the elimination bracket, the stakes were higher and adrenaline was soaring as competitors clutched on their chances to make TNT on history.
In another clash between old and new, Right K, a longtime pro player party legend, defended her spot from the newest player, a Tunisian whose name is his game, TNT Runs. The match began with TNT Runs on the prowl, whose cuts, though good, were risky and came at the expense of a point advantage. Things were looking up for the PPP master, but one slip on her behalf was all the leverage that TNT Run needed. After a score of 2-2, he showed that his pathfinding was just as good as his cuts, and he closed out the match, keeping his composure 4-2. Right K is eliminated, TNT Runs advances. Congrats on making the top 16. In the final pairing of the week, we saw a fierce matchup between Lapis Lala and Lena Golovac. Another close match, these players were neck and neck for every round, with Lapis going for cuts and double jumps and Lena making defenses and evasions. Though both players' skills came through, Lena's stoic pathfinding wisdom carried him to the victory for this round and added another L to Lapis Lala's name, 4-2. Lena Golovac advances, Lapis Lala is eliminated. Congrats on making the top 16.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Aren't we missing some losers bracket games? Well, due to some schedule conflicts, we'll have to wait till next week to see Copper lose and await the results of Luke Knee vs Modify, so stay tight. In terms of the rest of next week's matches,
the winner of Pipey and Copper will face G98665, TNT Runs will face Sean, the winner of Luke Knee and Modify will face Matame, and Lena Golvach will face Papas Nivar. As the tournament advances further and further, we are bound to see more and more great matches, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. Also, leave a like and comment if you want TNT Run to grow. Good luck to the players, and I'll see you in the next Week in Review.